I grew up in a Christian family. Like I said, my dad was a pastor. And I've been to church, almost every week of my life, never missed church since I was a kid. And I grew up believing in Jesus Christ. I believed in everything that I was taught. But I came to this stage when I was in Form 4, Form 5, when I started to question, and I said, I tak pernah try, agama lain. Saya tak pernah try agama free thinker ke apa. But I sat there in my room one day and I said, Lord, all these experiences that I've had, you have to show me that it's real. Because I don't want to just believe in something that I've been taught my whole life, And I said, God, if you are really the way, the truth, and the life, then you have to show me and you have to convince me. And I tell people nothing really spectacular happened that night when I said that prayer. I just fell asleep. But a few months down the road, I suddenly realized that I didn't have that question anymore. Soalan tu memang dah tak ada lagi. I have been totally confident of my faith. I've had this conviction that Jesus Christ died for me and He's given me salvation. And there's nothing better than you can have. It's just when you go through rough times, you know that there is a reason for that. And when you don't know what's ahead, you know that God has your life's plan written on the palm of His hand. Can you imagine that? So for me, that is something that I really hold dearly to. I believe that everything that I've come through, everything that I've experienced is all because of God's providence. And even though you go through rough times, it's for a reason. So my faith has everything to do with my life. It has everything to do with my music. And you'll hear that when you listen to my songs.
Bagi saya, memang dalam dunia hiburan suatu tempat yang kita boleh cakap there's a lot of different routes and temptations and a lot of but end of the day is like when you know where you stand with God, it doesn't matter about what's around you. The most important thing is like kita yang kena we got to make sure that perjalanan kita dengan Tuhan adalah betul. Sebab end of the day kita yang kena jawab, So for me it's about seperti saya kata tadi, memang tiap kali saya dapat buat sesuatu yang macam ni untuk like Christian concert ke apa kan, saya rasa macam sesuatu yang like I can breathe again. There's a nafas yang baru, it's a new breath of fresh air, So memang for me walk with God is a key factor. And like now and then any Christian, tak kisah siapa yang how strong Christian you are, any strong Christian can fall at any point of time. But it's not about whether you finish the race first, it's about how strong you finish the race.
When I was younger, I was very I mean not that I don't love the Lord now, but I loved the Lord so much. It was so intense. And it was just so intense and just so wonderful. But when I turned about 16, 17, those years when you sort of rebel, it became like I stopped going to the church, and from somebody who prayed all the time, I stopped praying. It wasn't like me rebelling against God. It was just that age where suddenly there were more important things, suddenly there was more interesting things that I thought, you didn't even think about it. I just slowly slipped away. There was a time when especially during Idol, just before I went up on stage, I stood at the back of the stage, backstage, and I'm praying so hard. I'm praying like I'm mad. My hands are in the air. I'm like, and everybody was like, "What is wrong with this girl?" Yep, the crew backstage. I'm like, what is wrong with this girl? But I just didn't care at that point of time. For me, it was not about me winning. For me, it was, God, you've brought me so far, yeah? And there's a chance I'm not going to win. It's either me or it's Dina. So, for me, it was like, you brought me so far. I know you have a plan for me, even if I don't win. And that was the only thing ringing in my head. And I wanted to do this for my mom, because I think my mom has worked so hard, and I know we've been through so much. She has been through so much, and we've not been the easiest kids. We've been very naughty, and we're just giving her a hard time all the time. So this was not for me, this was for my mom. And even if I didn't win, the only thought that kept going in my head was that you have a plan for me. So I was just praying. I said, God, just do whatever. And I went up on stage and I sang. And for me, the first time I went up on stage was when I was most nervous, but I love a big crowd and everything. So I just sang and sang and sang. And when it came to Gemilang, you ask any one of the crew there, I did not practice that last bit where I really just let go. I did not, because I was sick, Dina was sick, it was cold up there, we were tired, we didn't really get chance to practice alone. So I'm singing, Gemilang, yeah, I'm scared, that's my last song. And there was one point towards the end when I just saw Paul Moss say, more. And because I was so scared and I didn't practice, I thought, I closed my eyes and I said, God, I'm just going to open my mouth, just do something with whatever comes out. And every note just fell in place, and I was like, all the crew kept telling me, my God, Jack, where did you pull that out from? They all stopped. They were like, because they didn't hear it during rehearsals. And I promise you, that was the thought that went through my head. I said, I closed my eyes when I saw Paul Moss going, more, you're supposed to do more. And I'm like, okay, I just closed my eyes and said, God, I'm just going to open my mouth, just take it, just take my voice. And then I won lah. So from then on, I just think that my journey has been a very interesting one, and God has been, even though I've neglected Him and I think He's always been there for me, and I remember it, and I'll never forget it, and I know He's always there, and I'll always love the Lord, and I think He's just been so good to me. God has been so good to me. He's blessed me so much, and no matter what happens for me, it's like, I don't ever want to forsake Him. I know I'm still not the best Christian in the world or anything, but I know within myself, and I think that is so important, that you don't, within your mind, you're like, no, I'm not gonna, I don't know you. So yes, it's been a very wonderful, wonderful, wonderful life, even though we went through a lot of hardship. It's been very good. Am I talking too much?